Hey, just thought I'd make another little video about our Fibonacci pivots and how I trade them. Um, as you know, if you've been watching my videos for any period of time, I try to do a very simple system, and that is I look for major trends, either long or short, that have a change in direction, as indicated by a change in color of the 15-minute bar. So this is a 15-minute chart, as you can see, 15 minutes. We opened today on Monday, 9:30, and we sold down heavily for the first 1, 2, 3, 4 15-minute bars. So for a solid hour, we were basically doing nothing but selling, as indicated by the red 15-minute bars, as well as MACD on the 15-minute, showing you the lead candle, which is the blue MACD candle, well under the signal candle, which is the lagging candle. Excuse me, the lagging line, the lagging indicator. So anyway, it kind of made sense that this zone right here could be a potential bounce area, simply because if you just look back to Globex, keep, kind of always try to be getting a little bit bigger picture, which is easy to do with a 15-minute chart. You can see that we bottomed out here almost exactly at the same level at about 26,017 both times, both in the Globex as well as New York. We started bouncing. So New York, we started bouncing, and we put in our first green candle of the day at the 10:30 candle. So 10:30 to 10:45, we had a nice solid green candle bouncing off the recent lows of Globex, which was also a double bottom. If you look at that, you can see that. Okay, so now what do we do? Okay, so if this seems significant to your mind, like maybe there's something going on here, I mean, you don't know if it's going to go all the way up right away, right? But you know there's a change in character in the market. You know that we had an hour worth of solid red candles. Now all of a sudden we've got a solid green candle. Okay, first one. And it's happening at 10:30, which is a very traditional time for a reversal in the direction of the market. They always talk about the 10:30 reversal. So, okay, so we've got something going on here. Now, the setup that I teach here is very simple. All you do is when you see something interesting like this green candle, okay, you're going to take a Fibonacci tool, and I'll just show you where I do it. I go to Trading View on the margin, grab the Fibonacci retracement, and I've marked it so you only see the 50% level plus the panel above and the panel below that. So typically there'll be a lot more levels that you'll see, but I'm just simplifying it and keeping it just so that you can see in the very next candle where the 50% mark is of this candle. Okay, half point of this candle. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do right now for you. All right, I'll go ahead and put that on and mark that just like that. All right, now what I have here, actually I take that back, I had the upper level on. I'm going to take that off for simplicity's sake. Okay, so now what I have is I have this line here at 26,058.50 represents the exact midpoint of this candle, including body and wicks. Okay, so that is the exact midpoint. And basically the strategy is that it's very common for folks to come back and back test this midpoint of this candle, that level. Okay, because again, it's seen as a bargain. It's seen as a bargain. Okay, it's seen. Okay, now we're going up, apparently, and so if we can get this value, from top to bottom at half price, then maybe we'll make some money. Okay, so basically all we do is we then go to a fast chart and we look to see what happens when price comes down, if price comes down to this level. Okay, and so what I saw here is um, I saw a spike here where we almost hit the level, but I wasn't going to trade that. I really want to see a few things. Okay, I want to see price come down and start to back test this level, and I watch these candles very carefully. Okay, I want to see flat bottomed 5-second candles. Okay, that's telling me a flat bottom candle is telling me that the opening of that candle is equal to the low of that candle. Think about that for a second. The opening price of that candle is equal to the low price of that candle. That's simply saying that in that time frame, where that candle started, it never went under. That means it's only going higher in that 5 second time frame. Okay, that's really critical, and I'd like to see a couple of those. Once I see a couple of those, that makes me very comfortable. I'm also looking for a MACD cross. I have to, I really have to have a MACD cross. Okay, typically it's going to be under the zero line, and I used to wait until it hit the zero line, but I was finding myself getting in a little late. So now what I've done is I'm measuring the distance between, and I'll know this as soon as I get the MACD cross, okay? I'm measuring the distance between the zero line and the MACD cross, okay? I don't know if you can see this dotted line, but that is the low point of the Fibonacci. And then the 50% level is right here. So once I have a cross of the 50% level and I have flat bottom rising 5 second candles, I know I'm good to go. I know that, it's a really, really good chance that I'm going to make money off this trade. And so, there's from then on, you decide. If you're a scalper, if you want 5 points, if you want 10 points, whatever you want to do, if you want to hold it for the rest of the day, that's all up to you. You have to decide what's good for you. Me lately, I'm taking 5 points out of the market time after time after time after time all day long. And that way I don't have to hope and pray that this particular trade is going to be the one, and then just be disappointed when it comes back and stops me out. So I'm good enough at finding these types of setups, and this isn't the only setup I find. I have like 3 or 4 different types of things that I do every day in the market that gives me a multitude of setups where I can take 3 to 5 points at a time and only risk about 5. So it's to the point now where I'm very consistent with my scalping. So I think on this one I can't quite remember what I did, but I think I took about 5 points out of the market, and it went up from here from my entry about 65. It went straight up to 77, so that was 12-point potential. And 77 is a great target to have, by the way. 77 is always a great target. Whether you're trying for 30 points or 5, it's usually there's resistance or support when price gets there. So hopefully this was helpful. I think the key thing to always keep remembering is that some of the best trades like this come at the end of a long trend where you have a color change. Then you can take your measurements off of that particular candle. So that's what I did. You can't really see when I uncheck a lot of these boxes. It's kind of hard to see the top and the bottom. So for purposes of setting the Fibonacci levels, what I do is you've got a top here, and so I just make that even with the top of this candle right here, okay? And then the bottom, I could adjust that up and down, and I make that even with the bottom of this candle, the one I'm measuring. And then that way, in the next 15-minute time frame, what I've got is my levels, which then I can see easily on my 5-second chart. And as you can see, this level came down. They did like a perfect kind of like a U-turn there. And you've got your MACD cross right here, headed back up towards a 0. You've got your red changing to green. You got your flat bottoms right here, 1, 2, 3. Usually 3 is a good number. Maybe 2 is okay too. Either way, you really want to see flat bottoms. That's telling you a lot. That's telling you that there's a lot of force, upward force and upward motion in that candle. You can see the increase in volume if you look at the volume section here. Everything's lined up, and this was really an easy trade. I mean, I took this trade, and it's such a good feeling to know that, you've got, everything's lining up in your favor, and that, you go ahead and you take your money off the table, and it's just really not hard. I wish every trade was as clear and simple as this, and the way I do things, generally that's not the case, because I'm doing a little bit more advanced scalping where I don't have quite as much confirmation necessarily on every trade, but I'm using other things, like a lot of different EMAs and things like that I work with. But I won't get into that right now. Anyway, I hope that's clear. These trades really are not that complicated if you think about it. I mean, all you're doing is you're looking for a strong move in one direction, a change in character. In other words, you got a color change after a long, strong move, and then you've got a measurement that you take on that, and then you go ahead and look to see what happens at that level. I mean, if nothing happens, nothing happens. You don't take a trade. If this never came down here, then I never would have taken a trade. But it did. It started to put in that horseshoe shape. You had your fast cross on your MACD. You always want to see that. You had the fast line headed up towards the zero. You had your flat bottom Heiken Aishi candles here, indicating lots of strength. And you go ahead and you get in after 2 to 3 of these flat bottoms, and you go ahead and take your 5, 10 points, whatever it is that you want to take. Okay, if you're using size, like heavy size, like 5 to 10, even 15 contracts, you only need like one of these a day, maybe two, to earn $1,500 to $3,000 a day. Okay, that's about it. See you on the next one. If you want to subscribe, I'm doing these videos like almost every day, so you'll learn a lot. Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.